These are some Dinar Guru updates, starting off with Yada. I wish I could find evidence that the dinar is no longer pegged to the US dollar, but I can't. Can anyone help? The evidence is in front of you. The fluctuations of the dinar and dollar the past 15 days was it. It had never moved this much prior to this because it wasn't. It was moving up and down and going forward. The float in itself is proof. All right, Mark Z via PDK, what we are hearing from the banking side of this. I got one great message overnight that simply said crap had started. I'm hearing very positive things that the ball started rolling last night, but I don't know what that means for us timing wise yet. I'm getting positive feedback from meetings with no specifics. We didn't get the smoking gun overnight we hoped for, but I'm not worried as we are starting to see steady progress. Pimpy, there are some games being played with the Iraqi dinar. It looks like Al Sudani is looking for ways to put a stop to this. I really think it's a cat and mouse game between America and China, and Iraq's right in the middle of it. Frank 26, Iraq Boots on the Ground report. Firefly, banks have been open the last 2 days to sell dollars to citizens. This looks good because they are collecting 3-0 notes. Claire article quote, in numbers, the central bank reserves increased by 46% of foreign currency. Quote, the central bank's reserves amounted to 96 billion US dollars, an annual increase of 46% in the value of the cash currency exported increased to more than 84 trillion Iraqi dinars, an annual increase of 10%. Right, K&G article quote, what is meant by currency float? What are the advantages and disadvantages? K&G says, very interesting to see an article such as this. Why would you ever talk about a float to educate the Iraqi citizens? Maybe you just have told on yourself for what you're doing. All right, Mark Z via PDK, many articles out showing Iraq is positioned to move into the world scene. Question, have you ever seen a country move onto the world scene as an economic powerhouse that has a currency worth nothing? Well, there isn't one. All right, Militiaman article, quote, international standards in banking with the CBI, quote, facilitate the movement of banking transactions and trade exchange in accordance with international standards. What is not to like about this? Not only is the USA involved, China is too. Don't forget that China has been added to the IMF SDR basket, first to be added in 50 years, so it is not surprising that China would be involved in some shape of form with Iraq. All right, Nader from the Mideast, my opinion, the country can be fixed. Yes, the dinar can go up. Yes, but people all over the world are holding 70 trillion dinars in their hands cash. Some of you own 1 million, 10 million, 50 million. In my opinion, as long as we have too much cash, the dinar is not going to gain value. Pippi says, is it going to be possible that the HCL issue is going to be signed in 2023? I think you're going to have it done within the first 2 months. That is a major, major obstacle in our way with the change in the exchange rate. All right, Mark Z via PDK, we are hearing all kinds of stuff from the banks all around the world. I cannot tell you how many folks in our contacts receive calls saying, hey, you can exchange dong. The Vietnamese dong just showed up on the exchange rate. Then 10 minutes later, calls saying don't go to the banks. These are reports from Colombia and Brazil, South and Central America, that they have started the process or about to start the process, and we are starting to see, without a hold, rates show up on screens. The problem is sitting right in front of them at the moment the rate shows up. They're popping in and popping out. It is frustrating today for many on the banking side. Mark Xavier PDK, I believe they're doing a final test of the system to make sure they have everything working properly. The rate we saw pop up most commonly for the Vietnamese dong was $1.39. This doesn't mean this is what the final rate will be. There is an interesting ping pong going on with the foreign currency rates right now. We are getting a lot of fantastic chatter right now, especially from international paymasters. South and Central America specifically, it's exciting to see movement, but I don't know how close we are. I know the group leaders are still in meetings on logistics or final logistics, just not a firm handle on when. All right, Frank 26, Firefly, they're talking on TV about what is a currency float and what are the advantages to us Iraqi citizens. Why even tell us that if you're going to stay at a program rate of 1450? Frank says, I love it when a plan comes together. Everything is on course. It may look like you're going to stay at 1460, but none of that is true. It is time to tell you about the float because that is inches away. All right, lastly, Claire article quote, where are the Iraqi oil revenues deposited? Sudanese advisor answers, quote, Saleh said, externally and according to Security Council Resolution 1483 in May 2003, the revenues of the Ministry of Finance from crude oil, gas, exported derivatives, and other funds are deposited in the Federal Reserve Bank in New York, all of which are deposited in an account called DFI or its current alternative.